So, there's something very strange about Steve Harrington. Not the hair, not the bat, not even the fact that he accidentally became the group babysitter of Hawkins. It's the fact that after 4 entire seasons, we have almost never, not once, met his parents. And the show goes out of its way to keep them out of sight, out of frame, almost like they're intentionally being hidden from the story. And that is not an accident, because when you look closely, the mystery around Steve's parents might be one of the darkest unspoken threads in Stranger Things. And Season 5 might finally reveal why the Duffers never let us see them. Let's break this down. From the very first season, every kid in Hawkins has some kind of visible family life. We meet Mike's parents, Dustin's mom, Lucas's family, Will's entire household. Even secondary characters, Barb, Tommy H., Carol. We understand where they live, who they belong to, what their home life is. But Steve? He lives in a giant house, usually alone, sometimes with a cleaning lady walking around in the background. And all we hear is that his parents travel a lot, or aren't home, or expect great things from him but don't really show it. That's it. 4 seasons, 0 presents. And here's the weird part. Steve is a main character, one of the most popular characters in the entire show. You would think we would at least know his mother's name, his father's job, why they're never home, why Steve acts the way he does. But the Duffers keep that entirely off screen. And in a show where every missing detail eventually matters, that silence starts to get suspicious. So here's the theory. Steve's parents are missing from the story because they are connected to something much bigger and much darker than anyone realizes. Let's start with the simplest clue. Steve's house is huge. That's not middle-class Hawkins, that is wealthy. That is influence. That is someone with money and probably connections. The only people in Hawkins who seem to have that level of money and power are connected to the lab. The ones who funded Brenner. The ones who kept the upside-down experiments buried. The ones who made sure no one asked questions when children disappeared. The timeline matches. The social class matches. And Steve's father's constant absence conveniently matches too. This is where the theory gets interesting. Steve is the only main teen character whose parents we don't meet. The only one the story keeps deliberately hidden. It's like the show is saying, we're saving them, because revealing who they are too early would spoil something. And what exactly could they spoil? Possibly this. Steve's father may have been one of the silent investors in Hawkins' lab. Someone who financially backed Brenner's experiments without ever getting his hands dirty. Someone who saw the project as a business opportunity, not a moral nightmare. Someone who didn't care that kids were being taken, as long as the science made money. And that would explain everything about Steve. Why his parents were never home. Why they didn't care about him. Why he grew up spoiled but emotionally neglected. Why his father expected great things. That line suddenly sounds a lot darker, doesn't it? Because imagine growing up in a house where your parents are funding experiments on children and pretending everything is normal, where they throw money at you instead of love, where they're never around because they're too busy working with the very people who created the Upside Down. Steve's personality in Season 1, insecure, overconfident, desperate for approval, starts to make a lot of sense when you realize he might have been raised by extremely cold, disconnected parents. Parents who didn't protect him. Parents who didn't guide him. Parents who hid behind the reputation of wealth while letting monsters grow under Hawkins. But here's where this theory gets really dark. The Duffers love poetic storytelling. They love irony. And Steve Harrington, one of the kindest, bravest, most loyal characters, possibly being the son of someone who helped cause the disaster? That's exactly the type of twist Stranger Things specializes in. And Season 5 is the perfect time to reveal it. Because in the final battle, every character's past is coming back. Every unresolved thread is being tied together. Every hidden story is rising to the surface. And Steve still has one huge unexplored question. Who raised him? Or what were they hiding? Let's look at another clue. In season 2, Billy asks Steve where his parents are. Steve answers quickly, "Away! Business trip." Billy smirks, almost knowingly, like he's heard that before. The way Steve says it feels rehearsed, like it's something he's said hundreds of times, like it's the official excuse his family gives. But what business requires your parents to vanish for months at a time? The same kind of business that made the Hawkins lab employees disappear whenever something went wrong. The same kind of business that let Brenner hide entire rooms of test subjects. The same kind of business where people don't ask questions because the answers are dangerous. So, what does this mean for Season 5? It means Steve might finally confront the truth about his family. Maybe someone tells him. Maybe he finds documents. Maybe he overhears something he wasn't supposed to. Or, even scarier, maybe Vecna shows him. Imagine Steve being pulled into a vision, not of his own trauma, but of his father signing off on Hawkins' lab protocols, or meeting Brenner, or discussing test subjects like they were products. That would break Steve emotionally, but it would also give him something that ties him directly into the main story of the Upside Down. It would make him more than a babysitter, more than comic relief, more than the lovable hero. It would make him connected to the origin of the entire nightmare. And ironically, the audience has always joked about Steve being too good for this world. That he doesn't deserve the pain he gets. That he always puts others first. What if that's the point? What if Steve spends the whole series trying to be the opposite of the people who raised him? Trying to become the person his parents never were? Trying to prove he's nothing like them? That's why he protects the kids. That's why he risks his life in the Upside Down. That's why he constantly steps up. He isn't trying to be a hero for glory. He's trying to be a hero because he knows the world his parents helped create. And deep down, he wants to undo it. That's the emotional core of this theory. And that's why we've never met Steve's parents, because meeting them early would have revealed too much too soon. Because their identities aren't irrelevant. They're dangerous. And in Season 5, when all secrets come out, Steve Harrington might finally learn that the biggest monsters weren't just hiding in the Upside Down, they were hiding at home.